I'm thankful I live in a time where there's indie productions being made, rather than just relying on the corporate schlock that we're still given. Indie productions tend to be able to take a bit more risks with their work, and it shows they can get away with a lot less than savory topics, scratch an itch that the corporate stuff really can't. Throw in the fact that most of these productions are funded by people who want to see this sort of thing go up, and you got the potential to have something be able to handle against the machine. And one of them is a show that apparently is taking the internet by storm. I mean, of course, the show managed to get over 20 million views within the first 2 weeks of its release. And the art of the characters... The fans out there are for this. Poor little clown.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Yes, my friends, the amazing digital circus. And hey, the creator Gooseworks is going out of the way to tell the fan to be respectful of those who are less than receptive to the show. That's always a positive in my book and something I wish more creators would do, especially when it's this popular of an IP. But you're probably wondering about the title of this video, and frankly, I don't blame you. You see, there's something that I enjoy in my stories from time to time. Existential horror. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept, existential horror is essentially used to make the viewer question the characters, and sometimes their own, sanity. It can tap into the deepest unspoken horrors that almost everyone experiences, even briefly, about existence and the meaning of life. Am I real? Why do I exist? How much control do I have over my life? What choices do I really have? Or even, who am I?
Is any of this for real or not?
Well, I'm MangaKamen. Hi. These are but some of the questions that can arise, not only the characters we're watching, but we as the audience as well. They become questions that stick with the viewer, echoing in the back of your brain. So where does this come into play with the amazing digital circus, and to a more focused extent, Pomni? Well, the main driving force of the plot is that the cast are apparently trapped in a giant digital world of sorts.
Get in here!
They don't remember their own names, they can't really experience the good things such as eating, but they can sure feel pain. Oh, and if they go too far off the deep end, they have the chance to become a monster, cause that's always fun. And while the show has a bit more of a dark comedy feel to it, obviously I can't help but be attracted to the concept and the deep underlying horror of it all. But there are 3 elements that for this video I want to point out that will tie into it. Isolation, identity, and eternal looming threat. Then again, I do enjoy such films as The Thing and games like Soma, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised about this show.
Why are you like this?
And in fact, both of those properties share a commonality with the amazing digital circus, with the aspect of existential horror. So, slight spoilers for these 2 pieces of media, as well as a general warning for the topics at hand. But I'll remind myself to put a little timestamp on the screen if you want to skip, and thank you for chapters on YouTube. In the film The Thing, we follow a group of researchers at the Antarctic with a research outpost when a shape-shifting alien infiltrates the camp, which not only has the ability to simulate living creatures, but can perfectly act like them as well. It gains their memories. Not only do you have the isolation aspect, since the setting means that the characters can't simply run away from the creature, but also leads to a lot of suspicion, doubt, and uncertainty. Our main character, McCready, played by Kurt Russell, struggles to keep his own mind from breaking, while at the same time trying to prevent the group that he's working with from tearing each other apart.
Nobody trusts anybody now.
With the looming threat of anyone actually being already infected by the Thing, and as a ticking time bomb, the film is a great one, especially with its practical effects and suspense, but I want to highlight a few aspects here. Again, isolation, identity, and a looming internal threat. Isolation. Due to the setting, the characters aren't able to actually escape from their research outpost, and if they did, there's no guarantee that the creature wouldn't have infected one of them. And if released into a more populated setting, it spread like wildfire and assimilates so many people. Identity. We're not sure who is and isn't infected by the monster. Even our main character, McCready, isn't a reliable narrator through this, and anyone could be a monster. The looming internal threat. Anyone could be the monster, and anyone could be infected. Even the main character as we keep watching them. Keep these 3 points in mind, I'll be coming back to them a few times throughout this video. Then we get to Soma, a first-person horror game made by the fine folks at Frictional Games, the same people who brought us the gem that is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. You play as a character named Simon who goes into a brain scan in order to help him with his brain damage after a fatal accident. But after the scan, somehow Simon is teleported into an abandoned underwater research center. Pathos 2.
I'd really like to know who thought sending a Canadian to the bottom of the sea was a good idea.
We learn that the Simon we're playing is a copy of the original one. and his current body is an artificial one. And while he has his companion named Catherine to go through the pathos too, most of the time he's alone since she's confined into a portable device which can only be interacted with while plugged into a computer. All the while, Simon has to deal with the complications of him not being the quote-unquote real Simon.
I wonder what the real Simon would have thought if he knew about me.
What do you mean? You do know about yourself.
No, I mean the real Simon. The human Simon.
Going by your reactions, I'd say he'd be pretty upset.
Oh, and throw in a bunch of crazy monsters that chase you in various ways and you got a recipe for disaster. Now, let's get back to those three elements again, shall we? Isolation. We're at the bottom of the ocean. We can't exactly run. Oh, and to make matters worse, we learned that in the game that pretty much all of humanity is dead due to a comet crashing into the surface. For all intents and purposes, we're alone in this world. Identity. Throughout the game, there is discussion of brain scans and creating copies of a person to place into a new body, while leaving their original body and conscience intact. Who's the real Simon? The one who got the original brain scan? Or the one who we're playing as at Pathos 2? The internal looming threat. All the monsters that we see, as well as what we learn the source of them, as well as learning that a lot of the crew have created copies of themselves or become infected by the same source that created the monsters in the research labs, and they're after us. Now, let's look at the amazing digital circus with those three aspects. Isolation. Pomni and the rest of the cast are trapped in the digital world. They have no way to escape, and any attempts seem to be fruitless.
I do have to apologize for lying about the exit. I knew how much all of you have been wanting there to be one, but, I was having so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
Identity. None of the characters who are trapped in this world remember their actual names, and while we don't know the full story at this point, there's a possibility that there's more information missing from our characters' minds. The internal looming threat. There's a threat that hangs over like a guillotine where the characters break down and turn to monsters. Monsters whose only goal seems to be destruction. Sure, you can find this stuff not to be scary, and that's perfectly valid. But to me, one of the best things about fiction is how we can put characters into situations that realistically can't happen in our real world, and that allows us to think about the possibilities. More than likely, we won't be trapped in a research station in Antarctica, or a research station down at the bottom of the sea, or trapped in a video game that's glitchy as all hell.
Do you ever get to relax?
But it's those settings that can really make it all the more enthralling to people to watch the characters break down from the stress of everything because they can't get away from it. This show has a colorful package, yes, but there's an underlying darkness for the story and characters for us to enjoy. The pilot episode alone has the existential dread of identity erasure, being ripped from your own life into something horrifying and foreign, losing what little you had and being forced to live out another life. You don't even look the same as you do in the real world. It's honestly a very terrifying thought to consider, and something that we know can't really happen. But if it did, and then there's the question if we can even trust what we see, or if we can even trust our own characters. You see, and here comes another aspect of Soma. During the story, we learn that the copies of people who are uploaded into the machines, they don't know that they're copies. They retain their memories throughout the situation, and they truly believe that they're still the same people that they're copied from. And even our protagonist in the game isn't safe from that effect. Now, is that going to be the same thing for the amazing digital circus? I don't know, we just got the pilot, don't ask me that. Last time I checked, I'm not Mentok the Mind Taker. I don't know what's going on in Gooseworks' head. For all I know, there's a party in there and I'm not invited. I bring this up to showcase the possibilities that this story could produce, and in addition, showcase that there's a lot more that can be done to delve into the show's story and characters. We were given a good number of clues and hints as to what our cast is, or in this case, was. But my channel isn't a theory crafting one, so forgive me if I'm not too good at this. But let's consider a few things that could point to a possibility, such as the scene where we see a computer desk and a company logo, the fact that Kinger brings up insect collections when he could be referring to a bug report, or Kinger being in his 40s while everyone else is in their 20s to 30s. That's not in the show, that's actually outside information, which, I don't really like, but I had to bring it up anyway.
Cheating bitch.
We could be looking at a group of programmers who are caught within the confines of their own programming. A program that is riddled with bugs and glitches, hence why their memories are messed up. They're stuck in a playtest of a buggy game. Now again, this is just a quick little theory. I don't really put a lot of stock into theories like this, especially since pilots can change details between here and now. Although considering that there's already merchandise of the characters, I don't know if there's going to be any actual changes, especially since the concept managed to get a home run on the first try. The idea of cute childhood facade facade with a dark lore underbelly is a popular thematic device. Stuff like Five Nights at Freddy's or games like that have been on the rise for years. And don't get me wrong, I spent hours at this point talking about my issues with this genre of horror on my channel. But even I can admit that the appeal is still there for this concept. Again, just look at the view count for this property. This is something that I do find enjoyable, that there's a darker side, but it takes a much more mature look at it, with the characters on the brink of insanity and becoming monsters, with Pomni being the latest victim in that. And I think it's really the best way to go about this kind of plot, especially when you consider the fact that our main character has a moment where she looks in the mirror and sees herself, shocked by what's looking back at her. It's moments like this where we see protagonists of our stories looking into the mirror to see what they've become, that they've lost everything to them, they've lost their life, they've lost their names, they essentially lost themselves. It's a concept that we as humans normally do not have to worry about. So when a person who basically has their entire identity ripped from them, and even their appearance along the way, can they really say that they're the person they thought they were? What makes a person a person? Is it our memories? Can't be that. Pomni can't even remember her actual name. And memory, well, that can't even be trusted. And we see this unsettled nature within Pomni herself. It's understandable that she'd run away from a giant monster. I mean, while I don't find Kaufmo scary, I do find the design to be a bit disturbing. I mean, I was never really a huge fan of giant eye monsters. Not that I don't think they're cool, but they're just kind of creepy. Plus, they do tend to put you in gyroscopes, so there's that. Later on, after escaping Kaufmo, Pomni is asked by Ragatha to help her find Kane to fix her. But the moment that Pomni comes across an exit door, that's the only thing she can think of, and just leaves Ragatha to her own devices. Is this a selfish moment? Yes, but that to me speaks volumes to the desperation that the character has to deal with. And considering that she nearly breaks because of this selfish decision, I think it really ties into the human element that we all have, and it's something I enjoy seeing. That deep down, we all just want to escape from our troubles, even if we have to do it at the expense of others. These are all aspects that I hope will be explored within the show when it comes out fully, and that'll actually keep with the stuff that it has within the show's pilot. Granted, Glitch is also the home of murder drones, and they've shown they're willing to go dark with their imagery, so I can only hope they keep that trend up as well. So I do have my hopes with that. Maybe a lot of what I said is nothing more than hot air. Maybe you agree with it, maybe not. Regardless, I'm MangaKamen. Thank you for your time, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It really helps push me into the creative sphere to keep making these videos, especially when I know I have support. Happy Halloween, everyone.